Today, I'm going to be running through volumes 9 to 19 of Yona of the Dawn. I'm going to be going through each volume and breaking down the overall vibe and my feelings throughout. Then I'm going to go to the character development part of the video where I'm going to be discussing all of the main characters and how they have changed from the first 8 volumes compared to volumes 9 to 19. And then I'm going to be ending on my predictions for future volumes. I made the first debrief video about 9 months ago. I can't actually believe that. In that video, I went over the vibe of the first 8 volumes. I went into the plot of the overall story and compared the manga and the anime. So this is somewhat similar, but obviously we won't be talking about the anime, and I'm going to delve a bit deeper into how the volumes progressed throughout. Obviously, there are spoilers ahead, people. So I don't think I would recommend watching this if you have not read volumes 9 to 19, because I do go into what happens in each of the volumes, but it's up to you. So go on as you see fit. And if the lighting is a bit odd, I've literally, in England, it's so crappy right now. It's raining, it's sunny, it's miserable, all in one day. So I've woken up at the crack of dawn to try and get good lighting, but the lighting's just going to change throughout the video and my voice is a bit croaky, so apologies about that. But let's get right into this. I have my notes as always, you know me. And to ensure I'm not here all day, because I actually did film this last night and it was 2 hours long, and I was like, actually no, I can't upload a video that's 2 hours just me rambling about Yona. So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible when going through the volumes. So kicking off with volume 9, and this one focuses on the group being the Dark Dragon and the Happy Hungry Bunch, and they're trying to be a group of bandits, and they're basically helping out the Fire Tribe civilians from other bandits and Fire Tribe officials, because they keep taking everything they have. The Fire Tribe at the moment is a bit in shambles. The civilians are poor, they're ill, they can't grow crops, and life is pretty miserable for them. Now, I loved the bandits vibe. It added such good comedy. I loved Yona like stepping into this new arc of trying to be this leader and finding her footing and being a bit more confrontational with herself and her full group now. Like, this is her first volume with properly the full group in full force. It was 10 out of 10, and I feel like the group has found their rhythm now. We also get to know a bit more about the Blue Dragon's powers, and I will go into that when I discuss the character development of the Blue Dragon. Volume 10, we're staying in the Fire Tribe, and this volume focuses on Tae-Jun, who is the youngest Fire Tribe like chief's son. You know, like, I forgot what they're called, the man that's in charge of the Fire Tribe. It's his youngest son, and he's the one that was obsessed with Yona in the first 8 volumes, and he's in turmoil because he thinks he killed her. And honestly, in this one, his character development is amazing. He finds Yona kind of gives him a task to actually look at his civilians and help them out. Again, I will go more into Tae-Jun's character development later on in the video, but I loved how he started to set up clinics, and he really went full force into this purely because he was like, I'm gonna be who Yona needs me to be and step up from the absolute shambles he was in the first 8 volumes. He also helps change a lot of the soldiers' perspectives. What is this guy called? Haikichi, I think. I'll put his name up here. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I really like this character. He was very in the sidelines, but he made such a big impact on the story. He is like the advisor of Tae-Jun at the start, and he really hates him. He doesn't really care if he dies, but at the end of the volume, you can just tell he was always for the people, and he just hated that he was a bum, basically. And he is the first soldier that doesn't bat an eyelid when Tae-Jun is like, you need to do this, we need to help the sick, we need to clean the sick. And this guy is like, yep, no problem. He is for the civilians, and he really does help Tae-Jun and also the other soldiers to like not see helping the ill and the civilians as a big deal and lesser than themselves. It was just such a good arc and character development for Fire Tribe people in this volume. In volume 11, it's a bit of a mix-up. So we learn a lot more about Suwon when he was younger, because the volume starts with Yona, Hawk, and Suwon basically going into the marketplace and sneaking out of the palace. And in these chapters, we learn that Suwon knows so much about the civilians and about the people of the nation, and that they really already look up to him. And this guy is like 6 or 8 years old, and they're basically listening to everything he says and doing what he says. And Hawk sees this for the first time, and he's insanely impressed. And this is the first time I feel like we see Hawk really look up to him, and it shows how much he loved and trusted Suwon, which is so heartbreaking as the volumes go on. Finally, in this volume as well, we see Yona start to use a sword and learning how to wield a sword. I love it. I love her lessons with Hawk, and the fact that she's coming back all bruised and beaten, and the dragons are like, oh my goodness, you can't look like this, what are you doing? And she's like, nah, it's fine. We also go into the Kai Empire. So the world is slightly expanding because they want to find grain to take back to the Fire Nation so that they can grow crops in their rough climate. And Yona, I mean, we see her fire dancing. I love it. The artwork, stunning. I reread that chapter like twice straight after reading it, purely because Yona was amazing. We're finally getting Yona see Hawk in a different light. Like, this somewhat happened in volume 9, but in this one, she's really noticing him, and we're getting hints of her being interested in Hawk and noticing the attention he gets from females, and not being jealous, but it's there in her mind, and I'm loving it. But at the same time, she's also working through her issues with Suwon. That is a trait throughout volume 1 to 19, really. She is still working through what Suwon and her had and how she's moving on from this. Now, volume 12 to 13, I'm gonna bunk together because basically this is a bit crazy, because the Fire Tribe is rebelling against Suwon, and I keep forgetting what their empire is called. Kohka, the Kohka Empire, and he's trying to overthrow it. He's teamed up with someone from the Kai Empire. This whole thing focuses on setting up the battle, then the actual battle, and Yona gets involved as well. She's there with the dragons, and then we end this volume with the Fire Tribe under new governor. Like, the eldest son is now in charge of the Fire Tribe, and the youngest son has got more responsibility. I like that. I feel like the Fire Tribe is in a bit of a better shape now. So quickly to highlight a few things, the battle scenes were really good. I just wish we saw more of Yona and the dragons being really more involved in this. We only really got a few snippets, and this was the first time Suwon saw Yona in her new getup and with her new gang. She is a different person from when they last bumped into each other, and she was scared and she was paralyzed basically when she first saw him. Like, it's a complete character shift for her and him seeing her in a new light. Still, Yona kind of froze. I hate that he has that much power over her, but what can we do at this point? I just have so much hatred for Suwon. It's unbelievable. I will go into that when I talk about his character development later on in the video, but I just hate him. And we end this volume leaving the Fire Tribe arc alone, and we flow nicely into the Water Tribe arc. In this arc, I had a lot of predictions for the Yellow Dragon, which again I'll get into when we talk about the character development, and that leads us into volumes 14 to 16. Like, all these 3 volumes focus on the Water Tribe arc, and so much happens. We get introduced to Riri, who is the Water Tribe's chief's daughter. At the start of the volume, I found her quite annoying. She was a bit like Yona. At the start of Yona of the Dawn, she was a bit annoying. However, as these 3 volumes progress, I ended up loving Riri, and I think she's a really good confidant and really good friend for Yona. Like, they're the same age, they've gone through the same stuff, they have the same drive, and Yona can be quite frank with her and speak about her feelings and the royal politics and love side of her life with Riri, and Riri will understand completely. So I think it's good for Yona. In this arc, we battle what's it called? Nada? I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but it's basically a drug that is affecting all the water tribe people, and it's ruining the water tribe because people are dying, they're becoming addicted, like even people's livelihoods in terms of selling goods and stuff. Like the water tribe is really suffering, and in this arc we see Yona become a beast. Like I absolutely love her. We've seen her train throughout the start through till volume 14, and now she has her first proper battle with a sword against someone, and it is freaking phenomenal. I feel like we get fed so much of Yona being an absolute G. We get her dancing at the start. She looked fantastic. We then get her roundhouse kicking a guy to protect Riri. And then we get the fight scene with the sword. I love her. I freaking love her. I have to quickly mention as well, we get so much comedy from the chipmunk. In volume 14, he's really trying to make Riri feel better. And if you read, I can't remember what chapter it was at the start of volume 14, but he's constantly trying to give Riri an acorn to make her feel better. It's hilarious. In volume 15, my heart was in my throat because we finally have Suwon and Yona in the same town. And it was like you never knew when they were going to bump into each other. I was so stressed out. And when they finally do bump into each other, Yona is not with the dragons. I was so stressed. She was with the yellow dragon though, so that's somewhat okay, but Hawk wasn't there. The comedy did take a massive notch down and everything was heating up. It was just so stressful for me. And then in volume 16, there's like a small battle and we have the confrontation with Hawk and Suwon. And also Suwon's gang, like we have Suwon with the general who used to look after Yona, Hawk and Suwon. That really broke my heart when he saw Yona. I really hate him and Suwon. Like to me, they have no redemption and I just really felt for Yona. And I felt for Hawk, the heartbreak this man goes through. I cried like a baby in volume 16, I did. It was so hard to read. I would give so much to have that animated on screen. Hawk's despair, I can't, oh my God. But we do end this volume ending the Water Tribe arc, and I feel like Yona is being very good here. She's not meaning to, but she's collecting like the young children of each of the tribes and forming a small alliance. Like she's made really good connections with the youngest brother of the fire tribe and made him see what his civilians are going through. He is fully for Yona's cause, and now she's collected the water tribe's daughter and Riri is fully on Yona's side. Like so she's building strong alliances with the young'uns. I will talk more about my predictions regarding that later on in the video. Now volume 17, we're learning more about the Kai Empire. We did go there in volume 11, but we find out a bit more about it in volume 17. We also get the 5 main tribes working together, and we have that war with Kohka and Kai to get the land back for the Earth tribe. Now I feel like this is really important for Yona. This is a big volume for her mentally because she realizes why her father doesn't like war, because she sees what it is doing to the civilians, and it's the first time throughout all of the volumes that she doesn't agree with Kohka or Kai Empire. She doesn't agree with what anyone's doing and she feels like no one's really caring about the civilians. I love this. Like she understands that her father was a terrible ruler, but she understands his thought processes to war in this moment. Now, it sounds like a lot happens, but not much happens in all honesty. We don't really see much of the war, it ends very quickly. We see the dragons getting ill the further they get away from Kohka, their immune systems get ruined basically. We get a hint again that Yona is crushing on Hawk. We get that little kid being like, why are you always gazing at Hawk? And her being like, oh, I am not. And he kind of says it in front of Hawk and really embarrasses Yona. I'm loving her blushing phase and her getting flustered by Hawk. We're getting it, people. We're getting it. We're getting that romance come through. I couldn't believe how the Kai Empire soldiers turned on their civilians and they started killing everyone. That was mental. And then because all of the dragons are incapacitated, Hawk has to try and fight them all off. We get Hawk give Yona a little kiss on the forehead. I love it. I love it. I love any interaction between these two. But this is massive, people. This is a huge thing because we finally learn about the yellow dragon. Like, he has to step up because everyone is getting absolutely ruined because they're all ill and there's so many soldiers. Yona nearly gets hurt and then bam, we find out everything about the yellow dragon. Insane. Then volume 18, it really does revolve around the yellow dragon. We finally get his arc and we learn everything about him and the fact that he is part of the original dragons and that he can never die. He's pretty much immortal, which is heartbreaking. His story ruined me. It's the saddest out of all the dragons in my opinion. I love that we got to learn about the original dragons and seeing them maturing and becoming a brotherhood, and it runs in parallel with our current group. Oh, it was so touching. I won't go into too much more detail because I will talk about the yellow dragon in his character development phase. I have a lot of predictions about the amulet that is talked about in this volume, so definitely hold out for the predictions part. I do have to quickly highlight the fact that when the green dragon went and saw all of the current dragons when they were little babies and toddlers, you can't tell me that wasn't the cutest thing you've ever seen, ever. And then finally, we are at volume 19. But at the end of the last volume, we do get the dragons and everyone, including Yona and Hawk and Yoon, coming to terms with what the yellow dragon has told them, and the group is really settling with the revelations they've found out about the yellow dragon. And this is true as well in volume 19. We find a bit more and we delve a little bit deeper into the blue dragon's ancestors. I feel like this one, we get a little bit of everything. So we get the blue dragon's ancestors. We also get the aftermath of the war that Suwon and the 5 tribes had. And I really do think the Wind tribe does not trust Suwon. Like, they're like, yeah, he's a good king, but what is he doing for the Wind tribe? And we don't like him because obviously what he did to Hawk. I like that not every tribe is feeding into Suwon's plans and ideologies. The romance between Hawk and Yona is really kicking up a notch in this volume. We are getting proper scenes, people. Proper scenes of Yona loving Hawk. Like, come on. She is there with the feels. It hits her in this volume. And when she gave him that necklace, I love it. And then lastly, the story shifts and everyone is going to the new nation. So we get so much world building throughout these 10 volumes. Riri gets introduced back into it. She's back with the group and I love that for Yona. Literally the volume ends with Yona and Riri getting taken. So I did think it was a perfect time to stop and debrief this before we enter this new arc. So that was my feels, that was my thoughts. And now we're gonna go into the character development. So starting with Yona, okay, so we really saw her develop and just mature from a whiny kid through to a strong young woman. Can you even call her a woman? She's still a child, she's 16 in the first 8 volumes. So she's very much maturing and growing up mentally. Whereas in this arc, in these 10 volumes, she is becoming stronger and more confident and becoming a leader. She's not afraid now of battles, of blood, of making tough decisions like she was in the first 8 volumes. Like, we really did leave her still being a bit whimpery about blood and killing and even like murdering animals. Whereas now, she's like, she will do what needs to be done. She wants fewer casualties as possible, but she is not afraid to make those big decisions. She truly impacts everyone around her. And if we look at everything Yona has done herself individually throughout these 10 volumes, like we start off with her battling bandits by herself because the dragons have gone off and she's firing arrows from the top of a hut and she's not afraid to do that and she's thinking strategically. Then we go through to her being more confident and doing that fire dance with the knife and putting herself out there and being undercover. Then through learning sword play and then fighting someone, a guy triple her size with a sword. She then even gets slashed on the back and then she is still standing. The development is insane. Oh my goodness. And I can't leave this Yona chat without talking about her romance and her feelings with Hawk. She's still dealing with a lot in regards to Suwon and her feelings towards him. However, it's clear that our girl is finally crushing on Hawk and noticing him. It's very small at the beginning. She notices what he does and people are like, oh, are you jealous of him? And she's like, no. But then it slowly flows to her really realizing that Hawk is insanely important to her and she's starting to love him. Like, she did love him, but this is like romance. She wants to be involved with him and it's so clear at the end. It's quite overwhelming for her. I can't get over when she gave him the necklace and Hawk goes, like, she's overwhelmed because she's like, oh, I'm so happy it's made you this happy. And he grabs her hand and is like, my happiness is determined basically if you're happy. Like, when you're happy, I'm happy. And she is blindsided by this. And that actually leads us nicely into Hawk and his character development, because I think he has actually developed quite a lot. We see him go through it. Like, his character has developed the most emotionally throughout these 10 volumes. Obviously, we know he's really strong. In the first 8 volumes, he is that Joker character. He likes to tease Yona so much in regards to flirtatious moments and liking her and just being a bit of like a pick-me in terms of wanting to make her blush and making her feel awkward around him. That completely changes throughout these 10 volumes. Like, he is becoming more of a man. I think he wants Yona to see him in a different light and it's freaking working. His behavior is so different. He doesn't tease her as much. He only really interacts with her, like gives her a little kiss on the forehead when Yona kind of gives a nod, or if there's a situation that he's going to die. I feel like these 10 volumes really focus on him doing subtle signs of affection for Yona. Like, they're always in the background, but he's there and he's doing them, and it's the hand holding. We get so many more close-ups of artwork of their hands and their light touches and how Hawk is treating her. He's doing swords play, he's treating her like a woman and a warrior, showing his soft side and respecting her, and Yona is noticing all of this. It's working, Hawk, keep doing it. So even though he's maturing a lot in regards to Yona and their relationship, my oh my, we see him suffering when it comes to Suwon. Like, this man has been betrayed. He has hurt so much. When he gets confronted with Suwon, the grief and the just emotion you feel through the artwork and those pages was very raw. It was heartbreaking and so sad. Him fighting the dragons, that was so hard to read and to see. I don't think he'll ever forgive Suwon, and I do not blame him. Like, Yona and him are going through 2 separate things in regards to Suwon and how they've been betrayed. Now, moving on to the dragons and Hawk with them. In the first 8 volumes, he kind of sees them all as, oh yeah, they're just here to help with the group. I don't think he really connected with any of them. However, now I feel like they are a brotherhood. Like, they are all together as one. They know each other through and through. They're making the in-person jokes. They're being less mean to each other. I just love it. I love these characters so freaking much. Now, let's move on to Yoon. We love this man. The confidence of all of the characters has improved significantly from the first analysis through to this one, but Yoon's is exceptional, I think. Think about how timid he was in the first. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and I'm a bit scared of these situations. He didn't know what he was really doing within the group. He was the cook and the mother-hen, but he always had that shakiness about him. That is completely gone in this arc, these 10 volumes. I'm telling you, he is the mother-hen, he is the coordinator, he is the cook, he is the doctor, everything this man is. He gives the group direction. It's like Yona gives the drive and the meaning, then Yoon comes in and he is the direction, the strategist, and the one that can hold everyone together. And I love that the group knows this. There's so many jokes where Yoon threatens, if they don't do this, I'm not going to feed you, or I'm not going to give you, like, fix the tent. And they're like, okay, we have to do this then, because how are we going to survive without Yoon's cooking? Like, everyone knows how important Yoon is. And I love that he was a bit conflicted at the start in regards to Yona, and he really had the mission of wanting to help the fire tribe and learn more about illnesses. And he does that. He completes all of his missions in these 10 volumes. Like, go you, you're a freaking G. Now, the white dragon, Gija. We don't really see much development from him. And I'm not mad about that because he got the most airtime in the first 8 volumes. We learn most about him. We see a lot of character development from him. His feelings towards Yona are still confused me, and I think that's the most development we get from him in regards to he's less of a pick-me. He's less fighting for Yona's attention, and he's like, you know what, Yona will give me attention when she wants to give me it, and he's stepping back. He's still very emotional in regards to seeing Yona have feelings for someone else, cough cough hawk, but it's not affecting him as much, and it's still making him sad, but he's not getting involved, which I love to see. He's still the one that gets the most passionately angry when Yona's hurt or someone speaks to her bad. Like, he will rip someone's head off, and all the other dragons are like, calm down, like, it's okay. And I loved finding out that he is the dragon that has quelled and calmed his ancestors the most, and he has mastered his spirits, and he's told that by the yellow dragon. Like, he has quelled their rage and negativity and made them listen and respect him without even meaning to, and that shows how strong-willed mentally this man is, and that's very important. I think the other dragons still have to go through that, so he's quite a step ahead in that regard to the other dragons. Now, going on to the blue dragon, Sinha, we learned so much about him regarding his power. It was a big question mark in the first 8 volumes, but then straight away we learned that his power is very mentally damaging to someone, I think. I'm still question marked about it, so if you know more, please do comment below. But basically, where are my notes? 'Cause I'm still a bit confused. I thought that when he looked at people, they instantly die. Now, that is not the case. Instead, the dragon messes with them and gets in their head. So the dragon within him comes out and rips them apart mentally. And what I mean by that is the person is looking at Sinha and they see this dragon and it's ripping them apart limb by limb, crushing their heart. But physically, nothing is happening to them. So it's all in their head. Now, what I want to know is, do these people die from this shock and this, like, mentally being messed up and basically being killed? Or do they just pass out? Like, I do want to know this. I still don't think it's clear to us, but I could be just missing something. He is the sweetest person ever, and he's there giggling in the background. He doesn't obviously get much speaking, which is so sad, but it makes his speaking moments very, very impactful. He shows the most signs of affection for everyone. He's just so cute with his little chipmunk. I wish he would gain a bit more confidence still. He still hides his face behind his mask. It's a shame his power still holds so much fear over him. I really want him to master his power and to not be afraid of it, because we do get that when we have a little sneak peek at the original dragons, because the blue dragon did not hide his face then, and I want that to be for Sinha. I don't want him to have to hide his face. And lastly, we get a little intel about his descendant and him dealing with his descendants and their spirits and how angry they are. And I loved that side of the story, and Sinha giving over his body to him and being like, okay, you work through what you've got to work through. Also being open with Yona and Yona really helping him. I love their bond. Then we're going to the green dragon. So this is Jaeha, and I think he is going through a lot in regards to his feelings for Yona. He flirted with her a lot near the end of like volume 6 to 8, but we see him, I think, really loving Yona and him dealing with those feelings. He will not act on them, and he still feels like the dragon blood is affecting his feelings for Yona, but bless his heart, we see him go through it. This dragon is the most aware of everyone's feelings. In the first analysis, I mentioned that he saw through Hawk and Yona, and definitely Hawk and his feelings towards her right at the beginning. But as I was reading these 10 volumes, I saw that he knows everyone's emotions and feelings through and through. He is the overseer. He tries to act like the Joker and that he doesn't care, but I actually think he cares the most, and he's just very in tune with everyone's emotions. Like, he's very proactive with all of the dragons. Like, regarding the white dragon, when his back was slit, he wanted to protect him and not make him feel like he needs to hide it, or if he felt really embarrassed and wanted to hide himself, then he wanted to make sure that the white dragon had privacy. Regarding the blue dragon, I know he makes it a joke wanting to see his eyes, but I think he's constantly doing that because he wants to let the blue dragon know that they're there for him, that when he's ready, they're not going to be scared of his eyes and he can let go. Like, everything he does is masked behind jokes, but I hope I'm getting across what I'm feeling. I think all of his jokes have a meaning. Obviously, at the start of these few volumes, we see him going through it with Yona, as I've just said, and also going through it himself. He isolates himself a little bit when we go into the Water Tribe arc, but instantly the group bring him back in, give him a big hug, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? You are one of us, you are our family, and he really does have that found family moment. Now let's get into Zeno. Oh my goodness, we find out everything in regarding to the yellow dragon. We get so much more character development from him, but we only get that in like volume 18, so still so late in the manga series. And at the start, I was so stressed. At the start, reading like volumes 9 to 13, I got it in my head that there was a new yellow dragon. The yellow dragon had been reborn and he was just chilling with the group until that yellow dragon was ready to join them, because they kept talking about when a new dragon is reborn, the old one starts to lose their powers. And obviously we see a lot more fight scenes and he isn't doing anything. He's not using any powers. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, he's going to be dying. He is dying. There was even one moment where Suwon and Yona get reunited in the Water Tribe arc, and the yellow dragon looks at him funny, and I was like, don't tell me Suwon is the new reborn dragon. Well, I can laugh now, but this girl was so stressed. I was like, no, I don't want that for Suwon. I hate him. Don't do this to me. And obviously I was so wrong, because he is the original yellow dragon. He is part of the original group and he is immortal. He can never die. He is 2,000 years old. My oh my, his story is the saddest. It is heartbreaking. When he gets run through, I truly thought he died, and I think every other character in the manga thought he was dead. The artwork of that and their faces of shock. But obviously we find out he regenerates and then his skin solidifies like dragon and he's literally impenetrable and he can't die. We find out why Zeno speaks about himself in third person, because when he met his wife, she was lonely and she would speak in third person so she wouldn't forget her name. How heart-wrenching. Like, this is so sad. He has somewhat the strength of all of the dragons. He can jump really high. He can punch really strong like the white dragon. Obviously, he doesn't have the power of the blue dragon. But anyway, he is pretty much invincible. But it's so sad because he feels all the pain, and he even says he ripped himself to shreds once. I'm just so thankful that finally Yona has been reborn as the red dragon. That is confirmed. Oh my goodness, I didn't even talk about that when I spoke about Yona. It is confirmed that she is the yellow. She is the reborn red dragon. And I've got a lot of predictions in regards to the amulet that the yellow dragon is given. Anyway, I'm just so happy that he's found everyone and he's finally got purpose and people to speak to and people to care about him. Like, he gets so happy and bashful when people actually show love to him. And we already have seen since volume 18 through to 19 that his power is a massive game changer and he's going to be using it now. I have to quickly mention Tae-Jun because he had crazy character development from the first 8 volumes through to this one, and his story and development is very, very much in line and parallel with Yona's, because think about it, they both were born very privileged, they got what they wanted, their lives were very sheltered, and they didn't know what was going on with their own citizens. So Yona had all of this growth, and she really did help guide Tae-Jun reach his full potential, because she's learned so much. And I mean, thanks to Yona, he has gone through the same journey as her in such a short amount of time. And oh my god, I love him now. I freaking love him, and I think he's gonna have a really big impact in the story in later volumes. Now I'm gonna end with Suwon. In my opinion, he is unredeemable to me. I really, really hate him. The reason for that is, I don't understand, because I feel like people like him because he's a good king and he's doing good for the people. Because as well, the author did like a poll in, I don't know, it was like volume 14 or something. They did a poll of what their readers' favourite characters were, and Suwon came 9th, and I was like, who the hell is voting for him? I reread volume 1 to see if he would have killed Hawk and Yona, and I truly believe he would have. He literally said to them, I will kill anyone who steps in my way. He even battles Hawk. Yona witnesses him killing her dad, and he is told by his advisors that you need to kill Yona, and it's by chance that she gets away. Everything that he did to them in the first volume, to me, is unredeemable. Like, why didn't he just speak to them? I wish that he just spoke to them, and then the betrayal wouldn't have been as big. They would have seen something coming. I will never like him, in all honesty. It's crazy what we learn in volume 11, that when he was young, he was scheming, he was getting to know the people, building their trust, and they were doing what he wanted, basically. Like, when he was like, we need to find Yona, they all really banded together, and the whole city shut down to find Yona. And this guy was like 8 then. Like, that's very, very powerful. And I can see how he's been able to overthrow a freaking kingdom if he was like that at 8. So let's see what becomes of him, because I have a lot of predictions in regards to his downfall, and I might be completely wrong. I think I just want to see his downfall because I really don't like him. I have a feeling though that he is going to be married off to Riri, because I felt like there was a little bit of a vibe. At the end of the 19th volume, there was like questions on why he's not married, and I think Riri and him could be aligned into marriage, basically. I hope that doesn't happen because I really like Riri. Now let's run through my predictions quickly because I've been here ages. Let's start with the amulet. I think that the amulet that the original red dragon gave to the yellow dragon is very significant because it cannot leave the yellow dragon's person. When he tried to leave it, it ended up coming back to him. It doesn't like wither, it stays in perfect condition, and I think that's a very big deal. When he tells Yona, you are the red dragon reborn, she's like, well, I'm just a normal person, I don't have any powers. Now the yellow dragon says, well, the original red dragon was a normal human, he was mortal, and you don't have to live the same life that he did. He doesn't say anything about power. I think if he gives this amulet to Yona, it's going to unlock some power in her. I don't know what it is. I truly believe that that is linked to her power. I don't know how, but I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right. And I think in doing that, it might also give the yellow dragon some mortality in regards to he can die one day. I don't know how that can be connected, but I really hope so. Because I forgot to mention that when talking about the yellow dragon, I really, really hope that he's able to die. Like, I want him to die, bless his heart. He deserves peace. This man deserves freaking rest in the afterlife. Please allow his story to end with him peacefully dying. Now, I still think there's more to Hawk. I mean, I will parrot what I said in the first analysis. I think there's more of a connection to him protecting Yona, like more than romance. And I think he is a powerful being as well as the other dragons because he is super powerful and super strong. We just need to know more about that. I feel like Yona is starting to get strong alliances. I've already somewhat mentioned it with the fact that she has built a strong alliance with the Fire Tribe's youngest son, Tae-Jun, and I feel like she's got the strong alliance with Riri, the Water Tribe's daughter, and this is my big prediction. I feel like Suwon will have a downfall. He will lose it a little bit, and his way and vision is going to be swayed for the worse. I don't know how, like maybe he'll get a bit war hungry. I'm not sure, but he has built that strong alliance with the leaders of the tribes, except the Wind Tribe, who is also a young, new individual, bear in mind. However, Yona has the strong alliance with the Wind Tribe, strong alliance with the Fire Tribe, and I think their cause is for Yona and not with Suwon. And so when push comes to shove, I think Yona is going to band her posse together, these younger individuals, and she is going to be able to fight Suwon and the older individuals. I think that could happen. Now, I don't know if Yona will try and build her own empire, have her own ruling, whether she's going to end being the ruler. I have no idea, but I do think there will be a standoff and a small somewhat battle internally with Suwon and Yona. And I think the allies she's making on the way is going to impact the story a lot in the end. How exciting. I feel like my favourite volume was volume 15. I felt the most emotions in that. My heart was in my throat, and volume 16 as well, I cried for the first time. I think volume 15 was the first volume I gave a 5 out of 5. Anyway, I've gone on and on and on. I hope you've liked this analysis of volumes 9 to 19. I will be doing this for the future volumes as well. So let me know what you liked and disliked, because I will change how I do the analysis going forward. Please do let me know what your favourite volume was and who your favourite character was. I don't know. I think it has to be Yona. It has to be Yona. There was moments where I preferred each of the characters throughout this reading experience. Yoon being one of them. He is a standout character to me, but all in all, Yona is the G. I love her so much, and what an amazing female protagonist. This is one of the best slow burn romances as well I've ever read. I'm completely a Yona fan, and I can't wait to see how the story goes on. Anyway, see, I'm babbling and babbling again now, but do let me know your thoughts of the series so far. So I'm gonna leave you here. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you in the next Yona of the Dawn analysis. Bye guys. Hello little Come here.